Hey there, this is Matt Hay, and I'm with Aaron, and we're currently presenting the game. We have worked nonstop since yesterday, and I've obviously been working all week on this. Um, Mir has been giving us a real heck of a time, and basically, whenever anything works, it won't work once we make something else work, and it's been giving us the worst possible time ever. And like we had things together last night feeling good, and then stuff went awry, and then everything fell apart, and then so essentially it's been a terrible time, and we didn't quite let me pull up where we're at with the backlog. We didn't quite finish what we wanted. So we didn't quite hit the end. We've put a lot of points into this, and honestly, these are probably worth more because of the amount of time that was put in on the networking. Networking with Edgar and networking with the AIs and all of that has just been an absolute nightmare. And the biggest part, one of the biggest reasons why we ran into such big crunch at the end is because, well, for one, I was out for a week sick and wasn't really able to get out of bed too much, other than to go to the doctor. So that was one thing that didn't help. And then Isaac was sick for a week last weekend, so he was down for the count just a little bit. And then just busy things like senior projects and stuff. But one of the biggest things is that we just didn't have clarification on the lobby system till probably last week, and essentially what we did in class was not working without network transforms, and we were just trudging through that, and especially Isaac, because he was in charge of the lobby system. And we have it set as completed on here because we found a way to quote complete it. It's not to our full liking. It doesn't look great. Again, our big goal for the following sprint is just going to be to get everything looking great and usable. And the stretch goal for that will be to allow for split screen networked multiplayer, which will be really cool if we can pull that off. But we're not thinking about that now because of the state we're in now. Those are just some future ideas.
I have confidence that we can get there, though.
Yeah. We're gonna sit down next week. This end of sprint was just a serious mess, just based on like Aaron and I had a track meet today, so we were in and out. We had track meet on Saturday, so we didn't get to work all day that day. While Isaac was sick, so not much work got done over the weekend, and we've been doing fairly consistent work. I'll show the graph here. We were definitely a little behind, and then it bubbled here because of Isaac and I really didn't work on the game too much last week until the tail end of the week because our senior project was due. And there was just no way around that. We were working on that nonstop. Low sleep is the defining, I guess, word for the semester. Close that. So that defines that for us. So essentially, the AI behavior isn't fully done. We got most things. You'll be able to tell the AI will move around. Actually, let me start from the top. Let me start for where we're at networking. So our first goal was to network the player, which took a little bit because of just the different components that they mess with that collide with the team, the managers and stuff. But we got that worked out. We got players in the scene. We did not animate them over the network. They'll animate on their local. So like the player who is on the player client will animate on his end, but won't animate on the server end, and vice versa, stuff like that. So we didn't bother doing that because we wanted to work on functionality over visuals. And you can still see all the visuals we've added because that was also a big part, and that took forever as well because I did a complete overhaul of the visuals. And because we had misjudged some of the time it would take to mess with Mir, and the amount of times actually that we had to reinstall our project over and over and over again because Unity just refused to work and kept crashing and crashing and crashing. I had one day where Unity would crash every 5 minutes. And so my work, like the amount of work I was able to do just went way down. And then I reinstalled the project and it was fine for a while and started doing it again. So I shut it down, came back the next day, and didn't have any crashes the following day.
And I had extremely similar problems, especially yesterday. A lot of just Unity hanging and there's nothing we can do about it. Switching between devices to see if that works. Uninstalling, reinstalling projects. Honestly, just Unity, Mirror, and Edgar just did not want to cooperate with us this sprint.
Yeah, it was. This sprint is defined by absolute frustration, honestly. Just Murphy's Law with this sprint, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Again, we're going to sit down and rework and re-put all this stuff. Ensure that everything is working well with each other, and we'll probably come to office hours a few times to ensure and ask questions, because just the amount of things that we were learning on the fly to try and get this working was kind of crazy. So again, from the top, we did our players, we got them working, we had the weapons facing fine. And then we got the bullets to shoot. We were, as you know, we had issues with that, but we got those down. There's a little small issue with the bullet shooting from the client, but that's a focus for another time. It works for now. And then we moved on to the map and starting the game manager, because that was the next big thing. The big issue was that we needed to generate a map and then have that disseminate over the network so that all players could use it. So I did a fun little deep dive into Edgar and managed to figure out how to use a seed and generate a seed that I can easily pass around to all the clients to seed a random so that I could generate a correct map and that they would all be uniform across all of them. So we got that working, which was very nice. That just took a while of digging and looking through and ensuring things passed correctly and all of that. But took a little while, but it worked out, so I got that working. So next up was getting player spawning working, and that was a big issue because we just had so many issues getting the players to move around. And once we got the player spawning to work, then all of a sudden they wouldn't aim, and then once we got the aiming to work again, they wouldn't shoot. And just back and forth, just toying with this. And there are points where we didn't change code in a script and the code would just stop working, and just absolute insanity. So we finally got that under control. So to summarize, we now have all the players. So we have a mini lobby of sorts where just everyone comes in and a host will press start and everyone will load into the team deathmatch game. There's a little sloppy load-in process, but again, that's visual. That's not our biggest issue. That's not our biggest concern. So we skipped it over because we were just having such a hard time with the networking side of things that just weren't working for us. And weren't working for us until probably 20 minutes ago at 11 p.m. So we got that. The players will move around. They'll appear on the other screens. Everyone will spawn correctly. Everyone will look fine. Everyone will move around. The AI, Aaron worked on the AI. He got that working. They'll path find and move around, and they work very well across the network, so we're very happy about that. There's a few small things we need to do in the future, but they're probably the closest to good for ours. The player input was just being such a pain that just got worse and worse, and then there's some funny little shooting things, but that's okay. But the AI will do all their things. They'll pathfind correctly on the server side, and that'll send over to all the clients correctly. So that all works out. The correct number of clients that are in a lobby will spawn in the game, and they'll all get their respective UI. They'll all get their respective cameras, and that'll all work out. They'll all shoot at each other. Currently, because of where we're at for time, you can't properly finish the game because currently players do not die. And that's a whole nother issue with the spawning issues we were coming across. And since we're such a short time, that's just something we had to put on the chopping block, which is why we didn't count the network managers as completed, because they handled player death and adding the scores. So that was the one outstanding thing from the managers. And then on gun drops, we had some gun drops working, and then they just kind of stopped working. So everything. Just to note real quick, everything does work on the local TDM. We tried that out, which is great. But again, that's just local. I will show off briefly when we go into the demo that we have split screen for 3 and 4 players in local now. Again, that'll be a goal for networking if we can towards the end of the next sprint. So that's cool. And we also have a mini map, so we'll show that as well. So let me just dive right in and we'll show what's going on here. Let me run a build. Okay, so I have a build running. It's right here. And as soon as this builds, I'm going to try and shrink her down a little bit. So this is going to be a little small because I want to be able to see the build a bit. So we'll use that proportionally. And we'll make... let me shrink this. I can get this a little bigger. There we are. So we'll make our build the matchmaker, the host. Again, this is just a stub that Isaac was using, I guess. I'm not really sure where that came from, but we'll roll with it. So no button for the player that's added into the server here, and then the host can start up a game. Get a little sloppiness in the loading there, but everything works out. Everyone gets in. We got a nice mini map going on. You can see it in the corner there.
It is slightly transparent so that you can see players and bullets behind it. It uses a simplified view of the map with different, more like recognizable colors. And then instead of having individual players on the map, it just has like a little head of what they look like so that you can easily see where you and your teammates are without having to pay too much attention to it.
Yep, and as you can see, all the new assets here, everything's spawning in correctly. Everything looks really great. We're really happy about the assets. That's kind of the only thing we're very, very happy about with this sprint because they worked out great. And then as you can see, all the players are moving around. Everything seems fine with them. No big complaints with them there. And all the AI are moving fine. You'll notice they aren't dying, but everyone's taking hits. Their health will hit 0 because the dying is not fully implemented. It was being very glitchy with us.
And then
timers are counting down, which is good. We'll move over here as well.
Yeah, so you can see that the bullets do, in fact, work on both the client and the server.
Yep, so everything's working great there, and he'll reload and such. Yeah, everyone's moving great. So we're very happy that we managed to get all this working. There's definitely a lot of work to do, but we have a plan to work that out in the following week when we get back from break. This sprint really put us through the ringer. Like I know our backlog reports probably around 80 hours or 80 effort points. And we probably spent a lot more on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I lost a lot of sleep on this one, that's for sure, to try and get this together. And it's frustrating that we couldn't get it together fully, but yeah. Also, this is scaled up because of this is just windowed down. I had to shrink it, and the UI doesn't scale super well when you start windowing it.
At proper 1080p resolution on the PS4, it will scale correctly.
Yeah.
I am going to be working on that in the next sprint to have it scale properly at all resolutions if I have some extra time.
Yep. So that runs, and let me just end this real quick to get a quick restart, so I can show very briefly the local and 4-player mode. So kind of cool, right? We have a 4-player split screen. I think the only feedback we'd probably have right now is that it's hard to differentiate between the screens, which we'll add a divider bar later. That's, again, small visual thing that we didn't really worry about because we had a lot of other things to do.
Plate. I was very close to adding one.
It's great because everything works here, but
yeah,
everything works fine. So, and there's the other player. We can kind of say hi to each other. Hey, buddy. Or the other multiple players.
Kill him.
He's immune.
No,
this AI's coming for me. Oh, he's got the pants gun.
Oh, he's got the pants. What a lad.
So yeah, that's kind of the gist of where we're at the moment. Got a lot of work to do. I'm trying to think of anything else that we need to mention. I think that's all.
Yeah.
again, a lot of work on assets, updated maps. The reason why I spent a lot of time on that and didn't move to networking as fast is because, again, we were under the impression that we were fine with all the lobby stuff that we were doing, and then the lobby stuff didn't work. So
Yeah.
we had to quick sidestep and work on that a lot more than we thought, which backed us up on just about everything else. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of our things working in isolation this morning, and we thought it was just going to be a smooth transition to add them all together, and it ended up being a terrible 6 hours of just straight working after Matt ran in a meet, and
Yep.
I helped the meet. So
Yeah, went to bed very late last night, woke up relatively early this morning and worked till I ran and finished my race and walked back into work again.
yeah,
So
it's not like we haven't been trying. It's just we've been stopped at every step along the way.
Yep,
and
that was happening to us last week as well. So we got a lot. We definitely have a lot of work done here. It just doesn't come together very well.
And I think you give us a week and maybe some change, and I think we've got what we want out of this sprint.
Yep.
It just lots of things to worry about as seniors, and just a lot of stuff going on in general.
Yep.
That push down an already time-consuming project. So.
Yep. But we will continue to work our tails off on this thing because we want it to finish out good. So, yep. All right. Have a good one. See ya.